for the Project Spurs Network. We're going to be joined here by our resident NBA draft expert here, the one and only Benjamin Bornstein. Ben, it's official. The Spurs have the 12th pick in the 2021 NBA draft lottery. So, can you tell us about any possible prospects that we should be keeping an eye out on?
Joe, I can tell you about many prospects you should be keeping an eye out
I want
on.
the sexy ones. Tell me about the sexy ones.
Oh, wow. Oh, we're going straight for it. I like that. All right. Let me give you my tight five here. I think Franz Wagner is potential. Corey Kispert is one of my favorites personally. Professional shooter. I think he's going to be a guy similar to Cam Johnson in that they're going to be able to come in right away, shoot the lights out of the ball. Zaire Williams, kind of a sexy pick, maybe a bit of a reach at 12, but he's a guy, they just got his measurements at the NBA draft combine, and he was much better than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
He's taller than I thought he would be. And so that should shoot him up draft boards a little bit. One that a lot of people like is Kai Jones out of Texas. Of course, Spurs fans probably a little more familiar with him than a lot of these other prospects. 6'10", 6'11", and superb athlete at his size. Still a little raw, can shoot it a little bit, has shown flashes. And another guy that a lot of people really like, has some red flags, Jalen Johnson. Started at Duke, left the team middle of the season, said he's going to focus on his draft prospects. So we'll see how that goes for him. If you can clear up the personal red flags with why he left Duke, and he also had some in high school where he was kind of migrating from high school to high school. I think if you have satisfactory answers to those questions, you pull that trigger. So those are kind of the guys I would look at, and Moses Moody, a very popular pick to go at 12 as well. Very good shooter, 3-and-D kind of guy for you with emphasis on the 3 right now.
Yeah, the one that kind of intrigued me a little bit out of all those that you said is kind of, I guess I'm on the fence about him, is Jalen Johnson, the prospect out of Duke. He's a versatile player. He can play on or off the ball, has legit point guard skills, and a 6'8" frame. The one thing that the Spurs are needing is they need a big guy who is mobile, who can go ahead and create his own shot and actually create offense for some of the other players. And let's face it right now, one of the biggest faux pas for the San Antonio Spurs is their perimeter shooting, mainly the 3-point perimeter shooting. If you have a big, who can kind of go and create their own shot, get in the lane and, suck in the defense, kind of opens up the game for everybody else. And that's one of the things that the Spurs have not been able to do consistently. We've been delegated to a team who has limited range, and basically at times we've been delegated to just a jump shooting team. And if the shot falls, so be it. And if it doesn't, we live and we die by the mid-range game.
Yes.
And it's been hard to watch. And what has it translated into? To the San Antonio Spurs not making the playoffs the last 2 seasons. So you can get a versatile player that's 6'8" with point guard skills and can, is a good, scorer, I guess you could say, is a work in progress. It's something to look at, something to consider.
He's a player to consider, but again, you have to make sure that you are solid on his background. You are comfortable with taking on some of that personal stuff that he has dealt with the last 2 years or so. And like you said, he's a 6'8", 6'9" guy who can kind of create his own shot. He's not a great shooter yet, but he can get to the mid-range. He can get to the rim. He's got a solid frame that'll put on a little more weight, and he can play a little bit of point forward for you too if you want to put somebody off ball like DeJounte Murray or Derek White and see what happens. But like you said, I think the Spurs should be putting heavy emphasis on 3-point shooting, especially with the 12th pick in the draft, and then you can kind of find another big man in your front court for your second-round pick.
Yeah, you could. What was the other player you had mentioned? And we had mentioned, I forgot, the name eludes me right now. We had talked about it. I had talked about it with Rudy and Noah and them on the Two Shots podcast. A great shooter, professional shooter. You had put him on your, you had tweeted about him. Remember they
Oh,
showed the
Corey
kid,
Kispert
Chris Kisberg. Yes, that
out
kid
of
intrigues
Gonzaga.
me, man.
Yes.
But like Rudy said, and everybody else was saying, he's slowly moving up the draft ladder. So he might not be available at 12th. And if he is available at 12th, would you even pull the trigger on somebody like that?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm the San Antonio Spurs and I've decided that I need to address my shooting issues, which I believe they should, then Corey Kispert is your guy. He is a career 40% three-point shooter for Gonzaga
Yeah.
in all 4 of his years. And he can come in right away. You're going to have to teach him a little bit on defense. He's going to be serviceable. He's not going to be a total sieve, but you're going to have to teach him a few things. But he's, again, professional shooter. And when it comes to the NBA, shooting makes up for a multitude of sins. So he will be making up for a multitude of sins with his shooting ability. I honestly believe that. And again, he is a guy who is like Cam Johnson, very good shooter, spent 4 years in college. When Cam Johnson went, everybody was shocked because they were like, oh, he went 10 picks too early.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say that with Corey Kispert, but he is a guy who'll be able to come in and help out right away. I think he may look rough on defense at times because he's not quite used to the NBA game. And, some people will say, oh, well, he played at Gonzaga. They don't play in a real conference. But Gonzaga went out and played everybody in their out-of-conference schedule. They didn't play a bunch of cupcakes. And you can clearly see what he's done in the NCAA tournament playing against legitimate teams the past few years. So that should not be a concern at all.
He's got good size at 6'7", 220. He's been at Gonzaga all 4 years, so that says a lot about his work ethic, and it says a lot about him as a person. I think he'd be more attractive to one Coach Popovich, being that he's played all 4 years of college ball, and one of the best shooters in this draft class. Like you said, Spurs need somebody who can go ahead and sink a jumper, because let's face it, we don't have that quite often. We go through droughts. So we need somebody we can depend on. And not only can he shoot the ball, he has a quick release. So
yes,
that's a plus.
He's absolutely a guy who will suck guys out of the paint. They won't be able to pack it against drivers like Derek White and DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson. They'll have to respect kickouts, and they'll have to go out and guard Corey Kispert. And he's a good enough ball handler that he can throw them a pump fake, take one dribble in and pull up, or get to the rim, get rid of it, or just get to the rim. So again, Spurs, it's going to come down to whether the Spurs are self-aware or not and understand what their true team needs are, and if they're going to address that in the draft, or if they think they can get it done in free agency or via trades in the offseason.
Let me present a scenario to you, and you let me know what you really think. Is there anybody in this draft class that you think can be a franchise-changing player, and should the Spurs consider moving up in the draft?
Yes, I think this draft might have 2 or 3 of those guys, and I think Cade Cunningham is an obvious choice at number 1. The Pistons will undoubtedly take him at number 1 unless somebody gives them an insanely stupid offer to move up. I mean, I'm talking 3 or 4 picks, like 2 in this draft and 2 future firsts and a player or something, just absolutely something ridiculous they can't turn down. The second guy is Evan Mobley. I think he would be perfect for what the Spurs need, and he's a guy who can grow with that team as well. 7-footer, great athlete, can handle it a little bit, a good shooter, tough on the boards, and when he knows he's out-muscled, he works his way around guys and finds way to be a defensive stalwart still and protect the rim. So I think those 2 guys for sure can change a franchise, and you can make the argument for Jalen Green if he becomes much more of a complete player. Right now he's almost a straight shooter with a little bit of shot creation ability, but he's so good at it that he's going to go number 3 or number 4 in this draft.
Yeah, the list of 2021 small forwards that are going to be available are as follows. We have Scotty Barnes, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Johnson, Franz Wagner, Zaire Williams, Corey Kispert, which we just talked about, Trey Murphy III, Vrenz, I don't even know how to say this guy's last name, Belligeberg, Aaron Henry, Herb Jones, Isaiah Livers, Terrence Shannon Jr., Kessler Edwards, Julian Champagne, Chris Smith, Eugene Omori, Sam Hosser, Trendon Waterford, Derek Ashton Jr., Emmett Matthews Jr. Beyond all these, I mean, what do you think about the 6'9" Scotty Barnes out of Florida State?
He's not making it 12.
Not making it to 12?
He's going top 8 at worst. He's not getting. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. He's not falling to the Spurs. Let's not even think about it. It's not happening.
I want to think about it, Ben. Let me think about it. Let me wish.
No, please
Let me
don't.
wish. Let me wish.
Please don't, Joe. Don't give yourself hope like that.
I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, hey, I kind of like this kid. If he's available at number
I know
12.
you start getting attached to players, and you get upset when they get picked by someone else.
Yeah, the same thing's gonna go for Corey Kitzbert. I doubt he'll be there hanging around at 12. I think he's gonna go sooner than that as well. Somebody's gonna pick him up. They're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger.
Yes, I think there's gonna be a team that says, you know what, we need shooting too. We'll get past the defensive stuff. We just need the shooting, and I could see a team doing that.
Yeah, I look at this and I'm like, this is one of the arguments that you have if you're the San Antonio Spurs, and as far as fans go as well. Do you draft for need or do you draft best available player? That's going to be tough for the Spurs when they get that 12th pick. Who's going to fall at that 12th pick, and what do you do at that point?
And the problem, well, sort of the problem in this draft is that a lot of the better players in this draft are guards, which is not really what the Spurs need. But if they think they can make the situation work, or if they know, you know what, we're losing Patty for sure, we're losing DeMar for sure, let's just go out and get a guard and back him up. If we need to, we'll throw him to Austin, or he'll get backup minutes here. Then we'll, if he's best available, we'll do it. Or, you say, you know what, the gap between best available and what we need and how we have that player on our board, if the gap is close enough, you say, all right, let's take the need.
Yeah. Well, what does your gut tell you about the San Antonio Spurs? You know how Spurs fans are, and especially Spurs Twitter. We like the team we have. That's what we always hear from Pop in the front office. They never do anything sexy. They just stand pat. Whatever's available, they say, oh, we're going to go ahead and pick this guy. After 2 seasons of missing the playoffs, Ben, do you think it's time for them to change that mentality?
Yes, I think they might need to swing for the fences here a little bit. I don't know how much you can really do that with the 12th pick unless it is just an absolute reach. And then, granted, again, Cam Johnson, phenomenal example of this, a guy who everyone thought was a major reach and has turned into a huge piece for the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals right now. So I don't know. I don't know if you swing that hard for the fences. You swing for a double, maybe. Let's try a line drive double. Let's start there and see what happens.
They're going to go for a double, two RBIs, or what?
You just need someone to get on base, and then you know the guy in the second round, maybe he gets a base hit, and you bring your man in.
So they're not going to go with the walk-off home run. That's what you're saying.
I don't think so. I highly doubt that. Come on, Joe. Let's think about this.
Well, that's the thing, if the Spurs kind of look at things, and you can see clearly what's going on in the Western Conference here. There's other teams in front of the Spurs that are getting better and better and better. And unfortunately for us here in San Antonio, everybody's starting to pass us by. So at some point in time, you got to call it. Like you said, you got to make a decision. You got to do something sexy here. I think if any year was the time to do something, you got to do something now. They're at a critical juncture with, a question mark with DeMar. They have a question mark with Rudy. Big question mark with Patty. What are they going to do with their vets? Are they going to go ahead and throw a buttload of money at DeMar? I mean, you have a lot of decisions to make. It's a lot to take in, but you have this NBA draft lottery, which, just occurred. You have the 12th pick and you have the 41st pick. There's still some value there. Even at the 41st pick, there's still going to be some players out there that could be a work in progress, for the San Antonio Spurs. And if they pan out, they pan out. If not, then they go the way of one Shemezi Metu, you know. So he's
That's
over there in
brutal.
Sacramento. Unfortunately, he never worked out for the San Antonio Spurs, but he looks like he found a home now with the Sacramento Kings. And that's the thing that me as a fan, I want to be back to the. I want to go back to the promised land, Ben. I don't want to wait no more. I'm tired of being in NBA purgatory on the outside looking in,
Aren't we
playing
all?
games. It's not enough.
It's yeah. Well, it's hard to get out of purgatory, man. You gotta really work your way out.
Yeah, and that's by doing something. Pop in the front office. Need to do something, man. Do something. Show us something. You gave us the Fiesta jerseys this year. Maybe this is the year that you all do
One,
something sexy in the
one
draft.
small step at a time.
It'd be ironic, and we talked about this, and it's funny. What if they want to go ahead and decide to rescind the Fiesta jerseys and bring back the camo?
Joe, you can't do that to people. You can't be doing that, man.
Why not? Spurs. That's what the
That's
Spurs
just
are known
that's
for,
too
bro.
mean. Hey, Joe, we like the jerseys we have.
We like the team we have. And we have some comments here. Josh Paredes is watching us. I'm gonna put his comment on. He goes up. He goes, "Sup, guys?" He goes, "Woj said pre-lottery that multiple teams are looking to give up high picks for vets to round out their rosters. Something to keep an eye on with DeMar." Well, that is a possibility. If they do something like that, it would have to be a sign and trade with DeMar. So interesting again to see what can happen. Let's see, Javier Limons. He put, "We don't need no more guards. We need bigs and a power forward or center. We got too many guards." We do, but that's the conundrum that you're in. When you get that 12th pick, are you going to pick for need, or are you going to go with the best available player? It's a decision that's hard to make as a
It's
GM.
a real problem, is what it is.
Yes. And our good friend Wesley Perkins says,
Wes.
"Draft for franchise players. Trade the entire team for Evan Mobley." Wow.
Wes, I'm going to need you to calm down, sir.
Wesley is one of the guys that you want to take, to Vegas, and he's going to put all of it on black, put it on number 4, black. And he's just going to spin that roulette wheel.
No shame in his game.
Yeah, look at somebody here. Eric Pacina, watching us on YouTube, says, "Nobody at 12 will change the trajectory." And I don't know. I mean, you have Corey Kispert. He could be a great shooter, but is he going to be an all-star? Who knows?
You're not, listen, historically, you are not generally drafting an all-star at 12. All right. Historically speaking, that doesn't happen. You're drafting a role player who will play his role very well and knows what the team needs and accommodates that. So you just have to be realistic with yourself, which I don't know if Spurs Twitter can do.
Yeah, I think we need to be realistic with some of the players that we currently have on the roster. I think this is going to be the year where some of them will, if they don't show us something, they will overstay their welcome. And it might be time to start thinking trade. I'm looking at you, Lonnie Walker. I'm saying.
Too soon.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you say that a lot.
I'm just saying. We'll have to talk about that on another live stream. But yeah, he's got to show me something this season.
Another live stream for another day. Sir.
Another day. Yeah, before we start digressing, okay, we have Javier Limons. He's saying something else again. He says, "Hey, thanks for reading my comments. Go Spurs, go." Well, thank you for interacting and watching, man. We appreciate you. And then the prune says, "Getting too steep." And then we have Josh Paredes. He says, "Bro, Jokic was pick 41. Freaking Spurs fans. And the Spurs have the 41st pick as well. So there you go. There's still value. That's what I said. There's still value at the 41st pick.
Absolutely. Make some magic.
Yeah, you can get somebody. Maybe we can get the next Nikola Jokic. Yeah, that probably won't happen, but I can wish. And we have one more person here, Eric Pacina. "We roll with the role players. Lonnie has the most upside in his opinion." Well, that's going to be a live stream discussion for another time. And it's not just me that feels that way. There's other people there here in Spurs Twitter that feel the same way. But we're talking about the NBA draft lottery. So with the Spurs with the 12th and the 41st pick, at least we know where they stand in the upcoming NBA draft, which will be in a couple of weeks from now. And we've already given you some prospects. And Ben's going to go ahead and record some more content after this, and he's gonna put it in a short format so you guys can see it on the Twitters.
keep it easy breezy for you guys.
Yeah, so y'all can see it on the Twitter. We'll go ahead and release that on the Project Spurs Twitter page. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure Michael will go ahead and also put that same content on the Spurs Project Spurs Facebook page as well. So in closing here, Ben, what can you tell us Spurs fans? Is it all right for us to kind of wish for things to come, or is it going to be more of the same?
Try not to wish for anything. That way I can't get too hopeful and
right?
I can't be disappointed later. But no, I think the Spurs are going to be all right. They'll make the least sexy pick they can find at number 12. Everyone's going to get upset about it. And then he's going to play and everyone's going to be okay with it. And then they're going to want somebody to get traded. And then maybe the Spurs actually make a trade, but not in the middle of the season because that's too sexy. So, just normal Spurs things.
I said if the Spurs got the 4th pick, they wouldn't know how to act, and Pop would immediately trade it for like 3 second-round picks or something, something asinine just to piss off the fan base.
3 second-round picks. No, absolutely no.
And cash. And
the fax machine.
Hey, there you go. And a bottle of wine.
There you go.
That would be a real.
Pop will throw in the wine for free.
That would be a real world scenario, though. It's funny.
That's
dude.
a kicker. That's the kicker.
If we don't get Scotty Barnes and we don't get Corey Kispert, we riot, Ben.
Okay, well, I'm telling you now, Scotty Barnes will not be available. So don't get your hopes up for that.
We riot.
Okay, just make sure we don't riot during Fiesta.
That's when you want to riot, is during Fiesta, because you can go downtown and get a chicken on a stick and a beer, brother.
You're sick. Don't ruin Fiesta because you want to riot.
All right, man. We're going to go ahead and bring this stream to a close. Appreciate everybody who's came in here and listened to our nonsense and watched us talk about the NBA draft lottery and talk about Spurs scenarios at that. If you want to go ahead and get your fill of NBA prospects and possibly what could happen in the first, 1 through 10 picks, you got to hit up Ben. And we did see, before we go ahead and bring this to an end, we did see who has the first overall pick in the NBA draft lottery, and that is the Detroit Pistons. Who would have seen that coming?
Detroit basketball.
Yeah. And the
first number 1 pick since 1970.
Yeah, and then it's the freaking
Pistons.
Rockets, dude. 2nd pick, the Rockets, the Cleveland Cavaliers with the 3rd pick, Toronto with the 4th, and the team that absolutely got hosed in this whole thing.
The Orlando Magic.
Oh, man, the GM was...
Without fail, folks. The NBA hates itself some Orlando. Ever since 92 and 93, things have not gone well.
Oh, man, the GM...
Not true. They got Dwight Howard. After that, it didn't go so well.
The GM for the Orlando Magic, his reaction...
He was livid.
No, he was beyond livid. He wanted to break something. He was ready.
He was going to find Mark Tatum in a dark alley.
He was not a happy man. And let's put it like this. If you were the Orlando Magic, you would not be happy with that 5th pick either.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They should have gotten a top 3 pick.
Yeah, well, it might be time for them to make a move as well. So we're going to see what happens. They're going to blow the thing up.
They might package that 5 and 8 and move up.
Yeah. And they might. They just might. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and bring this to a close, Ben. Where can they go ahead and find you on the Twitter and look for your upcoming NBA draft prospect coverage?
Absolutely. So on Twitter, you can find me at _Boomstein. Actually just dropped a prospect watch for you guys tonight, right before the draft lottery. Keon Johnson out of Tennessee, another guard, of course. But you can find me there. You can find me on projectspurs.com. Got all your draft prospect watch needs covered. You got questions, hit me up on Twitter. I am always down for a conversation.
And there you go. And you can always find me at Two Shots Podcast. It's all spelled out, TWO, Two Shots Podcast. And I'll be happy to talk with you about NBA draft prospects or NBA basketball in general, or what's going on in the world of San Antonio Spurs basketball. And me and Ben are both geeks at heart. So if you got something you want to show, throw our way as far as anime, a trailer or a series that we should be streaming, please let us know. We're always up to watch new things. So also make sure you check out all the great coverage that the guys are cranking out here for Project Spurs. So make sure you check out projectspurs.com. And also make sure that you listen to our flagship podcast here, the Spurs Cast, that is hosted by the one and only Paul Garcia. So for Benjamin Bornstein, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you guys for watching this NBA Draft Lottery live stream. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, be kind. We're out. Peace.